Okay. All right, you guys. Well, good morning, and thank you, everybody, for being on the call. I'm sure some people are still getting on. We'll be hearing some beepings coming along. But anyhow, so today is April 15th, good old tax day. And here you go. Sorry, I had a speakerphone. And anyway, so good morning, everyone. Sorry, I was still flazzard. I just spilled my shake all over my countertop. I had to clean that up. Anyway, so talk about being so relevant to what we're going to be talking about today. And, well, for everybody who's on the call, welcome. My name is Karla Sandoval. I'm calling you here from Los Angeles, California. And for those of you who are on the call, or maybe one of the first times you've been on the call with us, this is a call series that we've been doing since September. And I keep saying that just because I know that a lot of people are listening to this call, especially from being online. And so one of the things that I want to do is today we're going to start building on one of the things that a lot of people, I don't know if you know, but a lot of people don't realize that there is this whole series, I guess, if you will, it's a book called The E-Myth, and by Michael Gerber. I highly, highly recommend if you guys can get this book. It's seriously, I think, probably one of the best books I've read when it comes to entrepreneurship and business. And the whole idea of how the business that you're in and the business that you have is a complete reflection of you. And how the business that we run, in order for it to be effective, it's all based on systems. And so what I thought that we would start doing, we kind of touched on this a few months ago, the whole idea of there's three people inside of us. I don't know if you guys remember that, which is the entrepreneur, the manager, and the technician. Anyhow, what I thought that we would do for the next few weeks is really expand on this concept, and that is this whole E-myth of why most small businesses don't work and what to do about it. And the first thing I thought we would do is start looking at exactly what it is that is going on with each and every one of us as far as our business, you know. And the first thing I really want you to take a look at is, you know, what is it that we need in order to thrive in business? What is it that is missing? Why are so many businesses failing today? You know, the statistics are ridiculous. I'm going to actually give those stats next week. You know, according to the IRS or the Business Bureau, you know, I'm going to look all that research. I'm going to research all that up. It's like, why? But I mean, it's no surprise why, I think it's like 60 to 80%, something around there, of small businesses fail within the first 5 years. And if we've been in business for more than 5 years, statistics say that most of them will fail within the next 5 years. And the question is why? Why does that happen? You know, and especially with everything that we have going on today. I mean, if you look at all the information, the research, all the seminars, the books, the audio tapes, all the information that's out there, why is it that so many people are failing? And one of the things that I think one of the biggest misconceptions that we have, especially when we look at people that go into business, as you recall, actually, let me do this really quick. I'm going to, in case you guys were not on the call when we talked about the three personalities of an entrepreneur, let me just give you a quick glimpse of that, because that will make more sense as we go along with this whole, yes, your business is a system, what kind of system are you running? And this is a concept that most people that go into business don't really know much about business. And a lot of us think like, well, you know, if you think about this for a minute, think about, like, nobody would go, no surgeon, or at least you hope, no surgeon, well, very few people, let me say that because I'm sure there are some, there's always an exception, but very few people will go into an operating room or purchase an operating room or a business without knowing how to operate. Most of the time that you would think about this, that doesn't normally happen. I mean, I'm sure there are those occasions of people that get a kick off cutting people for whatever reason, but I would say 99% of the people don't do that, right? So you would assume that people that go into business know how to run a business, and that people that go into business know about business. But I have found, and I will speak for myself, that is not the case. I know for myself, when I first started my business, I knew nothing about business. You know, I knew very little. I had studied business in school, but it's one thing to study a subject and it's another thing to actually practice it. So this is a big misconception that most of us have. Like, you walk into a store and there's the store owner, and you think, okay, this owner, this person invested hundreds of thousands of dollars into this business, and that must mean that they know about business. that must mean that they know how to run a business, that they have this whole system in place from how to purchase goods, how to count receivables, and they know how to handle and manage all of that, because otherwise they wouldn't have gone into business. But I'm sure if you really stop to think about it, that's not the case. And with most of us, even though we are independent entrepreneurs, we're independent, quote-unquote, contractors, independent salespersons, independent distributors, most of us, 90% of us, come into this business not knowing anything about business. Okay? So what happens is, and this is a concept that we talked about a few months ago, and that is that then if it's not the entrepreneur who goes into business, not the business expert that goes into business, then who is it that goes into business? And that is the technician in us. And there's this whole concept called the entrepreneur seizure, which says that there you are one day, and it happens in different ways. I'm just going to give one scenario, okay? And that is, there you are one day at work, right? And you're doing all this work for somebody else. And there was this moment that you look around and you're thinking like, man, I'm doing all the work. Like, this business couldn't operate without me. Or like, I do so much for my boss, and my boss is not that bright. So in other words, you probably might even call him dumb, right? I'm working for a dumb boss. Man, if he can do this business, I can do this business. And let's say you're like a carpenter, for example. And let's just say, I don't know, you're a chef, okay? And all of a sudden you're like cooking. You're like, man, this restaurant is working because I make delicious food. And then all of a sudden, at that moment, you have this entrepreneur seizure, like almost like you have this like shock, like you get this brilliant idea. Well, if I'm such a good chef, and I'm going to I'm going to start my own business, and everybody around you starts telling you, oh my gosh, you should totally open a restaurant. Oh my God, you should totally open a restaurant. Oh my God, your food is so delicious. You should totally open a restaurant. And then you're like, yeah, I should open a restaurant because I know how to cook, and the food is delicious. Therefore, it's going to be a successful business. And at that moment, you have this entrepreneur seizure, and then bam, you start your own business. For us in Herbalife, it could be something like you go to an SDS, and you look at all these success stories. Here you are as a client. You look at all these success stories, and then, I will admit, this happened to me. I saw a lady who didn't know how to read, didn't know how to write, and was making a lot of money, and I was thinking, darn it, if this lady can do it, I can do it. I'm very bright. I'm very smart. I've got an education. If she can do it, I can do it. And I'm not saying that you can't. What I'm saying is it's a fallacy to think that just because you think you can, you will. And that you have the skill set available just because you are a good cook or whatever the case may be, right? But here's the deal. To run a business, it takes more than just knowing how to operate the technical part of it. So to run a successful restaurant, it takes more than just knowing how to cook. To run a successful Herbalife business, it takes more than just understanding how to take the product. Okay? Are those important things to have? Absolutely. But as an entrepreneur, for a business to work, 3 things must be in place. You must have that entrepreneur full in effect. The entrepreneur is the visionary, the one that he's a dreamer. He's the one that's constantly thinking about like what to create. The entrepreneur gets a thrill off thinking about, what's next, okay? And it's happiest in creation. It's happiest, being out there creating. It's really like the energy behind the human activity that makes things happen, okay? And so that's the entrepreneur. We need that. You need to have this vision of what you want to create. And I'm going to pause it for a second because here's the thing. Research has shown that many businesses lack a specific dream or goal. So one of the things that happens is people go into business like they have that entrepreneur seizure where they think like, well, my boss I'm working for a dummy. I might as well run my own business. This business doesn't work without me. And at that moment, you decide to start your own business. But here's the thing. You want this business, but you're unclear. Most people are unclear of what that dream or what that goal or lifestyle looks like. So my first question to you today is this, is for you to think, do you have a dream? Do you have a goal? Do you have a vision of what kind of lifestyle you want to create? And if so, what is it? I really am going to encourage you guys for the next week to really start thinking about what is it? if you have a goal, a lifestyle, a dream that you want to accomplish, what is it? Because to go into business just for the sake of it is not enough. That is why most business owners get checked out when the first bump comes on the road. Like something happens and then boom, they're out because they're unclear of their dreams, their goals, or their aspirations. Or furthermore, this is why a lot of people don't move. They're like stuck. It's because they don't have a clear lifestyle. Therefore, if you don't even have an idea as to what you want, it's like this. If you go to a restaurant and you're hungry, right, but you don't know what you want to eat, it's really hard to order off the menu. So if you don't know what you want out of your life, you don't know what you want, like as far as your lifestyle, what kind of impact you want to make in the world, what's the difference you want to make on this planet? What's your legacy you want to leave behind? And I'm really going to encourage you to start thinking about that, because when you do, that is the entrepreneur inside of you will start to emerge, will start to, blossom, will start to actually, sorry, I have to mute the line. Somebody was making noises. And that is where things start to blossom, start to happen, okay? And here's the thing you want to take a look at. If today was the first day of the rest of your life, like if I really said today can be the beginning of something new, where, we already know that the past is by past, right? Like it's like done and over with, but we know that as a concept, but we don't really get it. Like we don't live like the past is already past, because so many of us, as we say in Landmark, put the past in our future. Like you think because of what happened to you in the past, it's going to continue to happen to you tomorrow and the next day and the next day. But let's just imagine for 1 minute that if someone told you that today could be the first day of the rest of your life, okay, that it's possible that everything from this day forward can be a total miracle in your life, okay, what would you want to design? What would you want to create? And the reason why I'm asking you this is because it is from there that you're going to create what it takes, the systems that you need to put in place in order to fulfill on that kind of lifestyle / dream / goals / aspirations. But if it's unclear what it is that you want, the system will then that's probably most likely why most of us don't have a functioning system. So I want you to write this down, okay? Because here's the thing. Everything is a system. The way that you sell your products is a system. The way you train your distributors is a system. The way you operate your life is a system. Your company is a system. Everything in your life, everything is a system. Even the way that you drive to work, that's a system. The lights, the stop signs, the rule, everything in life is a system. Okay? Now, as entrepreneurs, we don't always like systems because we are like these creators, these visionaries, these dreamers. We are constantly starting to look at new opportunities, and we are like out there in la la land, okay? But here's the thing you got to get is that if your life, if your company is a system, I want you to ask yourself, what kind of system are you running? Because you might be running a functioning system or a dysfunctioning system. Now, I want you to take a look at that. And I'm gonna share with you guys, as you know, every week I have like no problem sharing with you guys my little aha challenges of my life. And so I got back from the Bay Area this weekend. And so prior to me leaving on Thursday, I don't even know. I think it was Thursday. Thursday, I came home and I cut all these papers. I went to decorate somebody's house for their birthday, and I was like cutting all these papers, and I had to run to their house before they got there, right? So I left like all this mess on my desk. And so when I came in, like you look at my bed's always made, right? But here's the thing, there was like clothes that I hadn't put away because I literally just got everything done and then ran out without cleaning anything. And I had to drive an hour, whatever the excuse may be. I didn't plan my day correctly. Therefore, I was like short on time. And it was either clean or be out there on time. So I left and got there on time. But when I came back, I had a lot of work to do yesterday. I have this presentation that I have to submit by today. So I was about to start working, and I started moving things on my desk to the side. And then I stopped, and I said, okay, this doesn't work because the system I've got going here is a messy one. So if I'm working on top of a mess, it's not the same that if I take 5 minutes and actually, clear out my desk. I put all the papers in this nice, clean, neat pile on the right side. I moved things. I put my working. Anyway, the point is, I put things in place so that I could actually work. I took a moment. It didn't even take me 10 minutes to actually get there for there to be workability around me. Because I get that without that, I wasn't going to be able to be completely in the flow of creation and creativity. But so many of us, and I used to do this, we're like, oh, it's okay, and then we work on top of a mess. So that's a dysfunctioning system, So you got to get that, and I love this quote that everything, everything in your life is a system, just the way the universe is. I mean, even if you look at the universe, look at the eclipse last night, if you guys have seen it, even that is a system. This lunar eclipse will be happening every 6 months for the next 2 years. The universe has its own system, okay? So you guys have got to get that anything you touch touches everything. So in a system, it's like one thing affects another. And it's really silly. I know this is something that I just realized a few years ago, 2009 to be exact, December in Newport Beach. And that is that everything you touch affects everything. And you can't change anything without changing everything. I'm going to say that again. I really encourage you, if you have something to write with, definitely write it down. If not, just take it in. And that is, everything you touch touches everything. Anything you touch. So if you, for example, if I touch, anything you touch, it touches everything because we are, as a universe, in an energy force, we are connected. And any time you change anything, you change everything. Okay? And here's the silly thing, and, this is where problems start to occur, and that is when we start looking at our company or our business or our life in fragmented pieces. My coach, Olga, tells me all the time, she's like, we treat our lives as if we've got these compartments of things. Like we have the compartment of my personal life, the compartment of my business life, the compartment of my family life, the compartment of my friendship life. And we think that we've got these fragments all over the place. But here's the thing you want to get is that your life really is one. And to think that one doesn't affect the other is very silly. And here's the thing. It might take a little bit for you to capture this idea and to really grasp it. I know it took me a while because I was like, wait, but no, what do you mean? My personal life has nothing to do with my business. She's like, oh, really? Start thinking about that, and I started thinking, oh, my gosh, you know what? Yeah, when I am not okay with my personal life, let's say if my family life is not okay, if I am not emotionally okay, how do I show up at work? How do I show up in my business? How do I show up to meetings? How do I show up to calls? Even if I try to fake the funk, there is an energy that doesn't need to be spoken, okay? There's an energy about you that without you opening your mouth, people can sense the state of mind that you're in, which is why we say that when you can't change anything without changing everything. So the moment you change that system of your personal life, you will notice that your everything else in your life will start to change. Now, how do we do that? Okay, how do we do that? So many of us start thinking, and I know I'm definitely was one of them, that we think that we need more knowledge, right? We need more information. We need to know more to the how-tos. But here's the thing, and this is coming straight from Einstein, and that is, he said, imagination is way more important than knowledge. So what we need is imagination, way more so than knowledge. Because here's the thing, so many of us already know what to do, okay? So many of us already know even how to do it. Okay, so many of us do. But what's really what's stopping us is, yes, one is imagination, but also is the desire and the determination. Okay, and it's so easy for the words just to come out of my mouth. I know I struggle with this on a daily basis. I have these challenges, I'm sure just as everybody else does on the phone, is that, I have certain desires, I have certain things that I want, but here's the thing, without desire, the determination will not follow. So number one, okay, in order for things to start to change, in order for, let's just say that your business is not a functioning system, let's say you have no order, because here's the thing you want to get, that if your life's a mess, so your business is a total reflection of you, okay? Your business is a total reflection of you, and there is no better place where you can really get to know yourself, like really at the core, than if you start looking at your business, okay? And I will confess, when there was 2008, 2009, especially the first 4 or 5 months of 2009, I was on it. Okay, what I mean by that is I was totally, the desire of me getting to president's team was huge. And I want you to write this down. Okay, and that is the size of your desire will determine the size of your determination. Okay, so during those 5, 6 months, my desire to get to the next level, my desire to get to president's team was off the charts. Therefore, I was thorough in everything, okay? I was thorough in, if I said, like, we had a call on Monday, I remember I would sit down on my desk. We had a call every Monday, 8 o'clock p.m. I would sit at my desk, and I would be calling every single one of my team members to remind them about that call. I was, like, sending text messages 10 minutes before the call at 8 o'clock. And this came, I remembered this last night because, as you know, I'm involved with Landmark, and I'm a coach of the Self-Expression Leadership Program. And last night we had a call at 8 o'clock. Now, I am responsible for 5 coaches, and each of those coaches are responsible for anywhere between 3 to 4 participants. So technically, I'm like responsible for about 25 people, okay? Now, here's the thing. I send a text message to my coaches with all the information. Hey, don't forget, we have a call tonight at 8 o'clock. Pass this on to your participants. At 7:30, I send them another message. Hey, you guys, send this message out to your participants 15 minutes before the call to remind them to get on. So I send that at 7:30, okay? At 8:50, I send them another message. It's time, get on the call, So I was like on it. And when I was doing that last night, I thought about it. I'm like, you know what? That's who I used to be when I had a huge amount of determination because I had this huge desire to get to the next level. So the system that I put in place was thorough. Like I had like these calls on Monday, and I had this like plan. Monday was like I would sit on my desk at my dining room table, and I was calling everybody, and then I had these follow-ups. Like I had this like system to follow. We had these Tuesday, Thursday meetings, but guess what? We also had this system and put in place to remind and confirm people a couple of hours before the meeting, and then we followed up with them afterwards. What you think about the meeting last night? I mean, we have things in place. So why I'm bringing this up is because so many of us, and I know I struggle with this too, is that so many of us, really kind of drop the ball or start to bring down the temperature on the desire. Therefore, the determination starts to dwindle. Okay, and in addition to the determination, there's one more thing that we need, and that is will. So we not only need desire, we need determination, but we need to be willful. And why am I saying that? It's because you guys have got to get, and it's not easy. Okay, I am not going to say that it's an easy thing to manage or to come to terms with, and that is that the higher you go, the more people are going to try to bring you down. They're going to try to slap you down silly, especially when the entrepreneur in you is in full effect. Like you've got these dreams, these goals, these aspirations where you're like, yes, I want to have a better lifestyle. Yes, I want to have a nicer home. Yes, I want to have more time with my family. Yes, I want to be able to save money for my children's college, whatever it is. And when you start sharing that with people around you, of course, number one, they think you're like silly because maybe they don't know you as being a dreamer, and all of a sudden you're like this dreamer. Maybe you were this huge pessimist before, or maybe you were like you just settled for less, and all of a sudden you've got all these dreams and these goals, and they're like, whoa, like what happened? So number one, you've got to get that they might feel uncomfortable with your new way of being. Therefore, because they don't know how to be with you, they might either A, say nothing and shut down, or B, slap you silly and like try to bring you down. So when that happens, yes, you need a desire. Yes, you need the determination, but you must be willful to keep going and understand that that is like their challenge, their situation, and you keep going. I mean, and if you think about this, you know, so many of us, if we want something big in life, we've got to be determined to do something bigger than ourselves. If we want to live a meaningful life and something that really matters, something that will make a difference in the world and to leave a legacy, you know, and I don't know if you can even think about this for a minute, but I know that at first when we have, you know, bills to pay and not enough money and things like that, you know, all we want to do is make ends meet. Okay, we're not really thinking necessarily at that moment on how to change the world. We just want to change our bank account. I get that. But then it comes to a point, and it doesn't mean that you have to be like this wealthy multimillionaire to get to this point. But once your necessities are fulfilled, okay, like you can, I don't want to say get by, but you can like, you know, make ends meet. More money doesn't necessarily going to make you more happy. It's not going to make you happier. And I can tell you that from first-hand experience, okay? I mean, I had the fortune of, before I was 30, making a significant amount of money, and I thought that was it. Like, oh, my gosh. And I thought the sky was going to part and the sun was going to come down and everything's going to be fantastic. And it was fantastic, but it wasn't enough. And you start wondering, why is that? And that is because I really do believe, and this is my personal belief, that at the core, we all want to make a difference. At the core, we all want to have an impact on Earth, make an impact to society, make an impact to the people around us. And it is only from there that we really do find true happiness and fulfillment. Now, I get it. You've got to pay your bills. I get that. But one of the things I'm going to start to challenge you with is to start looking at, you know, how do you want to play your life? You know, how do you want the system of your life to operate? Do you want it to be all over the place and messy and scattered, and you know you have no direction at all, where you have like no means to an end? Or do you really want to be somebody and do something that matters and play a game that's bigger than you and bigger than life? You see, here's the thing: so many people want to play, and they want to be smaller than life. They want to be that big fish in a small pond. And I'm going to encourage you, although it might be temporarily fulfilling to be the big fish in a small pond, because the ego likes it. The ego in us loves it, to compare ourselves, to think we're better than everybody else. I get it. I go there sometimes, but the thing is, don't stay there, because I'm telling you, it's not fulfilling. Because at the end of the day, you're going to be this big fish in a small pond. Some people even go to the extremes of hiding. And you kind of think about it and you think, well, why would that be? Well, because they don't want to deal with themselves. So what I'm going to encourage you for this next week before we wrap up this call, and that is really start to look at what motivates you. Like, what impact do you want to make on the world? What impact do you want to make in your life? Because from there, once you get the vision of what kind of lifestyle you want to have, what kind of, you know, business you want, what kind of all that, now we can take a step back and start thinking about what system do I need to put in place, what scheduling do I need to have, what things do I need to do, and more importantly, who do I need to be in order to fulfill on that lifestyle/dream, aspirations, goals, whatever you want to call it. And before we conclude, here's what I want to leave you with, and that is, yes, there's so much information out there. You know, the seminars, the classes, the books, there's tons and tons and tons of information. And you think that everybody is doing it. You really do, right? Like, I sometimes think that I'm doing it myself and then come to find and realize I'm not. But here's the thing I wanted you to get. This is why they say there's a 20% of the population makes, or that's a 20-80 rule, right? 20% of people make 80% of the results. And I'm going to encourage you to move from the 80% to the 20%. Don't be caught up in thinking that it's okay to be a big fish in a small pond. Don't hide out, okay? Don't play small in your life. Really stretch yourself and think about what is it that you want, what kind of impact do you want to make in the world, and what really matters at the end of the day is that full fulfillment of true happiness with yourself. And for that to occur, there's three things we must have: desire, determination, and will. So with that said, it's exactly 30 minutes after the hour. I'm going to go ahead